We're getting out and shaking hands and visiting with the voters and spreading our message, which is about a booming economy for Illinois, creating jobs for everybody who wants to work, bringing down the spending and the taxes in Springfield because it's out of control there, restoring the quality of our education in our school system so we have world-class schools in every school district, including great vocational training and job training again, and putting term limits on every politician in Springfield. We think we need to restore good government by bringing out the corruption, ripping it out of Springfield, and term limits will help do that. We believe it should be 8 years maximum for everybody in public service. Evelyn and I will term limit ourselves at 8 years if we're honored to lead our great state, but we want on the legislature too, and we've driven a petition drive to bring it on the ballot in November in the general election. We've already collected over 300,000 signatures on our petition drive to get it on the ballot in November, and when we get it on the ballot, it'll pass because the vast majority of voters in both parties support term limits.
Sir, can you tell me what's the importance of West Central Illinois in this race?
You know, it's critically important. Quincy, it's great to be here in Quincy, the gem city of our great state. Quincy's suffering from the bad economic policies of Pat Quinn. Pat Quinn, unfortunately, is the most ineffective governor in America. He's failed people of our state. He's driven employers out of our state. He's driven up unemployment here. Unemployment has risen more in Illinois under Pat Quinn's administration than in any other state in America. He's driven up our taxes. He's driven up spending. He's defunded our schools. He's shredded the social services safety net. Pat Quinn's a failure, and we want great communities like Quincy to be thriving. There's no reason for Quincy's economy not to be booming and Quincy's schools to be outstanding. Pat Quinn's let us down here in Quincy and in every community. Evelyn and I want to lead the entire state, whether it's in Quincy or Rockford or Moline or Champaign or Mount Vernon, everywhere. We want a booming economy in Illinois, value for taxpayers, and fantastic schools. We'll get that done.
Senator Cullerton just mentioned, when you've talked a lot about pensions, Senator Cullerton just last week floated the idea again of passing the school funding issue back to the local schools. Is that a part of your pension solution?
No, it's not at all. The pension system is broken and corrupt in Illinois, and unfortunately President Cullerton and the leaders down there have failed. They have not dealt with this properly. We need to do real pension reform, which includes moving workers for their future work into a defined contribution plan. We don't have to take away pensions from folks who accrued one honest pension. We have corruption. We should go back after the double dipping, the triple dipping, the spiking. We got to change that retroactively. But we should just protect the existing pensions by moving folks for their future work into a defined contribution plan. That's what the voters have in their lives. That's fair and affordable, and will save a lot of money in the future.
Bruce, you touched on this a little bit. One of the concerns from people in this area is that more effort goes towards Chicago in the upper part of the state than here in the lower part of the state. What are you going to do to ensure voters and constituents in this area that you're going to care for their needs?
You know what? Evelyn and I want to run to lead our state as one. We're one state. We want to lead the entire state, and we want a booming economy in every part of the state. I live around northeast Illinois, but you know what? I come from a small-town farming family. My grandparents lived in a double-wide small community, and they were dairy farmers. I understand the needs and the aspirations of folks in smaller communities, and there's no reason that we can't have a thriving economy in every community and great schools in every community, especially a great community like Quincy. Quincy's well located. You've got great people here. You're bordering some other well-run states. You're suffering from our lack of competitiveness in Illinois. We are not competitive, and that hurts Quincy's economy. I'm going to make Illinois competitive again so communities like Quincy can thrive and bring jobs and employers back here.
If you're suffering from back pain, give me a call. Dr. Jeff King with King Clinic Chiropractic, 217-641-0644.
How's everyone doing today?
Yeah.
You ready to bring it home on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Right? All right. Thank you all for coming. You know, since last fall, we have been proud to watch our friends, Jill Tracy and Kirk Dillard, travel the state, sharing the message that Illinois needs the right kind of leadership and a plan to make our state work again. Kirk and Jill are the leaders that we need. They know what it takes to balance the budget. They know how to pay bills on time. They know how to work with the Democrat legislator to find solutions to our serious problems. And a lot of what they've learned about leadership, they have learned from Governor Edgar. Now, I was 10 years old in 1991 when Governor Edgar took office. And I was 18 when he retired, so I never got the chance to vote for him. But as a student of politics, I still admire him today. He managed to do some pretty amazing things in Illinois. He balanced the budget, paid our bills on time, he kept our unemployment rate below the national average, and he had a $1 billion budget surplus, especially since he had Democrat majorities in both chambers at the beginning of his terms. And see, that's the part that I see as the most valuable. As you know, we have a Republican supermajority on our city council. Even so, we struggle sometimes to find and agree on the right solutions. Whomever our next governor is, he will have to work with a Democrat legislator. Governor Edgar did just that with Kirk Dillard at his side. And you know what? After a few years, they earned a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. And that sounds pretty good to me. Governor Edgar was the last great governor of our state. Under his leadership, there was a sense of balance and stability in Springfield. And I know that Kirk Dillard and Jill Tracy will bring that back. We know Kirk and Jill. We know they won't throw slogans around in place of substance. We know they will build consensus and pull people together. You'll never hear them talk about hammering people down, because threats and intimidation don't work when you're trying to find long-term solutions to our problems. I believe they are tested and the prepared team to deliver the change people really want. And I think Governor Jim Edgar's influence will be widely used in a Dillard-Tracy administration. So I thank you all for joining us here today. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Governor Jim Edgar.
Thank you, Mayor. Boy, you are young. 10 years old. I think I turned about 60 that election in that year, in that first year as governor. But boy, thank you for that kind introduction. It's great to be back here in Quincy in Western Illinois. It's good to be with my old friend, colleague, Laura Kent Donahue, who we worked together on many projects over the year. I am delighted to be here. One of the reasons is this is now the hometown of the next Lieutenant Governor, Jill Tracy. And you know here what a competent woman she is and what a great legislator she has been. And I think that speaks well about a Dillard-Tracy administration, not just because we'll have a very competent lieutenant governor, but one of the most important things that a governor needs to do, perhaps the most important, is to assemble the best possible team around him. One person can't do it all. You need a lot of good people. And I was fortunate, I had a lot of good people like Kirk Dillard. But one of the ways you can get a preview of what kind of governor you're going to have and what kind of team they're going to put together is who they select as their running mate. And Kirk Dillard's selection of Jill Tracy, I think, is a very good sign. Because there is no doubt, if you look at all four of the candidates for lieutenant governor, none of them compare to Jill Tracy.
Right.
But I know you know that. But I wanted to tie it in to make Kirk look good too. The other reason I am delighted to be here today is that, well, there's two reasons really. One is this election, the outcome of this election on Tuesday is still unknown. No matter what you might read in some of the newspapers or some political pundits might say, or how much money somebody spends, this election is still very fluid going into Tuesday. This is a primary. A primary is the most difficult election to try to poll and understand what's going to happen. Primaries turn on one thing, turnout. And historically, we have seen that turnout is hard to predict for a primary, much more than general election. And so whoever gets their votes out on Tuesday between Kirk Dillard or Rauner are going to win. And so one of the important missions today is not so much to let us talk, but is to get you all working between now and Tuesday. Because there's still a lot of people out there that aren't decided. There's still a lot of people, we know from looking at the polls, particularly on Rauner, he might have wide support, but it's about an inch deep. And a lot of that support's changing their mind after they get to know more about it. So again, this is still a very fluid situation. One thing we know, it's down to two people. It's going to be between Mr. Rauner and Kirk Dillard. And so it's very, very important that you folks get out and do all you can to make sure that Kirk Dillard and Jill Tracy are our candidates in the fall. Because the other reason that's important, and I want to talk about the main reason, but one reason is they can win. And they can win because they can put together a very diverse coalition, as we see and who's supporting them today. And that's what it takes to win in Illinois. A Republican cannot get elected anything statewide with only Republican votes. There aren't enough Republicans left in Illinois. The Democrats have the majority. We need to convince thoughtful Democrats and independents to come over and vote for a Republican. Kirk has demonstrated by this coalition that he's put together that he can do that. Now, the most important reason I'm here is that Kirk Dillard is the one candidate in either party who I believe can get this state back on track. This state's in a mess. And Kirk has the experience, he has the skills it takes to get Illinois back on track. Now, it's been said many times, he served as my chief of staff. And when I became governor, back when the mayor was 10 years old, we had similar problems in this state as we do today. The state was broke, the economy was in the doldrums, people were losing confidence in state government. And with Kirk Dillard's help as my chief of staff, we put together a team and a plan to get Illinois out of the mess it was in. And it took some time, but by the end of my administration, Illinois had, for the first time in anyone's memory, the only time in Illinois history, a budget surplus of $1.5 billion. I want to change that, Mayor. We had $1.5 billion. We paid our bills on time, less than 30 days. We had an unemployment rate in Illinois that for the first time in anyone's memory, and unfortunately, we don't have it now, well below the national average. And most importantly, the public, as polls showed, had great confidence in state government. Now, that's what we were able to do with Kirk's help. And I'm convinced as governor he can do that again, particularly with Jill's help. But also, Kirk had that and has that skill, that ability to bring people together, to work with all types of groups. Now, sometimes he gets criticized because he actually can work with a Democrat. Well, let me tell you, that's what we need in government. Republicans and Democrats being able to sit down and reach a consensus. And it's critical in Illinois for Republicans to be able to work with Democrats because of the political reality. So Kirk has that ability. He has that ability to work with people from downstate, upstate. He lives in the suburbs, but he went to Western. He knows Western Illinois. He knows downstate. That's an important quality. We need this state to pull together. Illinois faces some very serious problems. We can't afford a governor who has to learn the job on the job. We need someone that has experience. We need a governor whose approach to governing is not going to declare war on the legislature, not going to divide this state. We need a governor who's going to bring people together, to get people to sit down and to reach a consensus so the state can move forward. And we need a governor who, the day that he is sworn in, he can hit the ground running. Well, we have such a candidate, and that's Kirk Dillard. And we're fortunate to have a lieutenant governor candidate who can assist him in making sure we hit the ground running. And that's your own Jill Tracy. Jill.
Thank you, Governor Edgar, for those kind remarks. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for being here. Chairman Perry, thank you. I know your time is short. Representative Noreen Hammond and her husband Leonard, invaluable helpers in this campaign, and thank you for being such a good seatmate in Springfield. Randy Freese was here earlier. And he had to go up to Hancock County because they're having their Lincoln Day, and he's covering that base for me there. I couldn't be doing this without someone like Randy Freese stepping in to run for my House seat to represent you as you deserve to be represented. I know much of what our campaign has been based on, Randy's campaign has likewise been based on. It's about the person with the best experience and the best skills to do the job for West Central Illinois in the House and to get elected in West Central Illinois. Likewise, when I told you a few months ago that I wanted to run for Lieutenant Governor with a man of highest stature, Kirk Dillard, I explained to you, I looked at the candidates and thought if I could help get a Republican governor elected to make this state turn around and work for the people of Illinois, I was going to do everything I could. I was glad to lend my experience, my skills, my talents, my geographic base, and everything possible to get Kirk Dillard elected, because as I looked at all the candidates, overwhelmingly his experience, and certainly as serving as Governor Edgar's chief of staff, overwhelmingly puts him at the right position at the right time with the right experience to move this state forward with the kind of leadership we are so desperately seeking and needing. So I know the man of Kirk Dillard's he has the highest ethical standards, the highest integrity, the best skill set, and the best chance of beating Pat Quinn, which is what this election is really about, is getting the primary candidate to bring this, beat Pat Quinn in the November election and turn this state around and make it work again. So I am very happy to be part of this team. The momentum is building, and with your help and your friends' help and your neighbors and everybody else you know's help that you can think of to get people to the polls, we are going to get this job done. And with that, with your help, I want to announce and bring forward the next governor of Illinois, Kirk Dillard.
Thank you, Jill. It is great to be in Jill Tracy's home community, and thank you all for all of your support and friendship. And I want to give special thanks to the mayor. Thank you, Mayor, very, very much. You're doing a great job here, and it is just wonderful to see that young people are stepping up and coming into the places and positions that we need to make Illinois the capital, I think, of the Midwest again. Governor Edgar, it's great to be with you. Jim has been a mentor to me and somebody that is who I've modeled my career after, and it's wonderful to travel with your old boss and your friend for the next couple of days. I want to thank everybody that's here. Chairman Perry, it's great to see you. 8 months ago, in Washington Park, right here in Quincy, announced that Jill and I were going to run for governor and lieutenant governor. And the message really has not changed at all. Illinois is broken, and Illinois isn't working. And we are tested and prepared to lead this state, which we deeply love, forward. And, it was, I think, as Governor Edgar said, a seminal moment in this campaign when Jill Tracy joined me. She stands head and shoulders above the other nominees for lieutenant governor. And Jill and the entire Tracy family and clan, I just want to thank you for your hard work and your commitment to the state of Illinois and its people. We could not have a better family living amongst us than the Tracys. Thank you so much. Now, Jill and I don't offer clever slogans, and we don't have slick Washington, D.C. based commercials, but we do offer solutions, and we offer competency. And the first solution, folks, is to send Pat Quinn packing in November. That's our first solution. Governor Quinn is either unaware or unable to fix our state's problems. We have the third highest unemployment rate in America, the highest in the Midwest. And in national surveys, we rate dead last in job creation. And Jill and I are the only team in November which can defeat Pat Quinn. That's how we've got to send Pat Quinn packing. You've got to send Jill Tracy and Kirk Dillard to Springfield as the governor and the lieutenant governor. Now, we've outlined our plans. We call it making Illinois a destination economy for people that create jobs, whether it's Dot Foods, whether it's Knapheide, whether it's any of our great small and large employers in Illinois. And we have to cut spending. And I learned how to cut spending from this man right here, and also how to downsize Illinois government, but downsize it effectively and efficiently so that we continue to provide services to those who need the state's help. We have a plan, Joe and I do, to improve our schools, our farms, our factories, and our communities. And I'm proud of the broad-based, and it is broad-based support that Joe and I have received. I'm proud to be supported by teachers and educators. I'm proud to be supported by policemen. Joe and I just met with prison guards who protect our families from street gangs day in and day out. We're proud to be endorsed by the engineers that build our roads and our bridges. And we're proud to be endorsed by state employees who take care of the developmentally disabled and those who truly need our services. And I'm proud to be endorsed, and we're proud to be endorsed by conservative groups. We are the endorsed ticket of both statewide pro-life groups, the Illinois State Rifle Association, and conservative groups from beyond and around the state. So we have broad-based support, and that's how you beat Pat Quinn in November. I'm also proud of the fact that both Joe and I are citizen legislators. Joe and I have worked in the private sector to create jobs for Illinois families, and we are committed to making us, again, the industrial and agriculture and financial services capital of the Midwest. I will also say that packing or sending Pat Quinn packing is not going to be easy. Nobody should believe you just put up a candidate against Pat Quinn and win the election. That's not true. Again, Joe and I are the only team that can actually beat him in the fall. But you can't beat Pat Quinn with a nominee who is so close to Democrats, they actually go on vacations with Mayor Rahm Emanuel from Chicago. And you can't beat Pat Quinn with a nominee who fails to meet with the press, who dodges questions day in and day out, or runs out after debates and won't answer questions from the media. And you can't beat Pat Quinn with a man who has an incredible number of questionable business dealings. And you can't beat Pat Quinn, who is plagued with a pay-to-play type of scandal, like Rod Blagojevich, day in and day out, and is described by the Chicago media as a City Hall insider. And you certainly can't beat Pat Quinn with a bazillionaire who is so out of touch with working families, he sees nothing wrong with bending the rules for his own family, but not the rest of the state. And you can't have one set of rules, folks, for bazillionaires and another set of rules for everybody else in Illinois. And you can't let the 0.01 percenters tell the rest of the working families of Illinois how we are going to live our lives. That's not the Illinois that Jill Tracy and I grew up in. The stakes have never been higher. This state is on the brink, folks. We are on the brink, almost pile-driven into the ground. And Jill and I have the integrity, we have the experience, and we have the work ethic to make this state, again, one that you're proud to call your home. So we're asking for your vote to turn Illinois around. We're asking for your vote because we've got fresh ideas and we want to bring new leadership, ethical leadership to state government. And we want to have an end to what I call one party and one city total dominance in control of the state of Illinois. It's important to put a Republican in the governor's office in Springfield, but it's also important to have geographic diversity. And Joe and I provide that geographic diversity, which Illinois has lacked for the last decade. So we're asking for your vote, and everybody's got to get out, ask your friends and relatives, tell them to vote for Kirk Dillard and Jill Tracy on Tuesday. Take a Republican ballot and save your state. We're tested, we're prepared, we're ready to make this state work again. Thank you all for being here. God bless you all.